Well, hello. It is Monday, October the 20th, 2025. This is Wes Fryer in Durham, North Carolina, sitting in an Adirondack chair on a beautiful fall day when it's about 65 degrees, right beside the Duke Chapel. And I have a beautiful woman next to me.
It always bothers me when you do that. I don't know. I just feel weird when you say things like that. Yes, we are on the Duke campus. Wes is here to do an interview for a possible TEDx talk here at Duke University. So we decided we have a 3-day weekend because of Diwali. And so we came up last night and spent the night here in Durham and are spending the afternoon on the Duke campus. It is a beautiful fall day. The trees here in this area are just beginning to turn colors. I see some red, some golds, still a lot of green. It's so fun to be here with students walking back and forth and just kind of, the pulse of a college student these days. A little bit of everything. I think it's just recently been Parents Weekend, so I think there are still a lot of parents who are hanging out. But it's very exciting. We just recently came back from fall break, and it's been busy. I went to Seabrook Island with my 5th graders, and we spent 3 days there. Gorgeous, beautiful weather. However, 14 students of ours now are down with the flu. So we'll see how many actually show back up to school tomorrow. So that's been a little bit. So, Wes, do you want to talk a little bit about what we were doing this weekend?
Yes, and I'll just, say for those of you that may be new to Wes and Shelley Share, this is a podcast that we started probably a couple years ago, although we have not done a podcast in quite a while. For a while, this happens sometimes with podcasters, pod fading, but we haven't faded away. We're still here. But we wanted to reflect on the empty nest. This is our 4th year. We're 3.5 years into living in North Carolina as empty nesters, which, can you believe that? 3.5 years. Wow, man, that's kind of gone by fast. So yeah, we just sort of reflect upon adventures that we're having and the changes of being empty nesters, not having our children living with us, but very much still continuing to take our roles as parents seriously and being thankful for technology communication that lets us have conversations and text and be in community and connection with our 3 children. So in this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about the No Kings weekend and our involvements there. As Shelley said, it's been quite a busy time with a lot of things going on. But then we're going to talk a little bit about fall break because we kind of split up for fall break. Shelley went to Oklahoma City and was with Sarah, and then I went to Kansas and was with my dad and helped him move. And so we'll reflect on that a little bit, and then we'll wrap up with some memories of fall breaks in the past that we look back with fondness and really are thankful for. So this past weekend on Saturday, October 18th, it was the No Kings 2 protest. And this was one of the largest days of civil protest, and it was there were no arrests in major U.S. cities, no violence. It was a peaceful day of nonviolent protest, and we were in Uptown Charlotte. For the first No Kings protest on June 14th, I had actually learned about this group called Indivisible, and our branch is called Indivisible Charlotte. And I had a Zoom call with the 2 founders offering to help with social media, with different kinds of technology. And it ended up that they had a veteran who was going to speak, and it fell through at the last minute, and they asked me to talk. So I actually ended up talking for about 8 minutes at that rally where there were about 8,000 people. We don't know exactly, but I think the estimates were there were somewhere around 10,000 folks at this one that was at First Ward Park in Uptown Charlotte. And Shelley went on to this one. And so one of the things that was different this time is I was asked by the leadership to live stream the event on YouTube. And so that happened and was successful thanks to the help of a whole team. One of the volunteers, Carol Sawyer, was able to arrange to get this really cool piece of technology called the Beast, which I think is actually out of Australia, and it's a Wi-Fi box. It looks like a Pelican case, kind of, but it can receive any type of cellular signal, but it bonds the cellular connections together in a Wi-Fi signal. And so we had a stable and good Wi-Fi signal to be able to live stream. And this harkened me back to 2007 when I went to Ford Island in Honolulu in Hawaii and helped facilitate a video conference with 3 of the survivors of the USS Oklahoma tragedy and disaster on the attack on Pearl Harbor from December of 1941. And we did that from the from the garage of the fire station there on Ford Island with the USS Missouri right behind it. And I was sharing some stories about remembering that. We had to go to Circuit City and get 100 feet of Ethernet cable and plug into the cable modem that the firemen generously let us use. So that was a success. But the next day was the dedication of the actual USS Oklahoma Memorial. And Honolulu was just getting 3G connectivity. They were on EDGE, which was a 2G wireless communication protocol, and basically it was very slow and it could not handle video. And so anyway, this Saturday it was great to be able to successfully do the live stream. I had to get a special adapters to take the sound coming from the sound stage and be able to put that into my iPhone. I did learn that I need to monitor the actual feed because we had different volume sound adjustments throughout the presentation, and different speakers had different levels of volume. So anyway, YouTube changes their policies with streaming, and Shelly's like, you're talking too much about this. So Shelly, what brought you to the No Kings protest on Saturday? Tell people some things that are not technical. Please just reduce the jargon here in our podcast.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about how much ether cable I needed to have, but I was a little nervous about going to the rally. Wes had been working on it with the Indivisible group, and he had also been to the previous one. So I don't know, I was just a little nervous about it. I don't like crowds. I don't like being around that many people. He was having to go early. I didn't want to get up early and go with him, but there was a wonderful group, a big group from our church that was going. And so I was able to get a ride in with a friend, and we parked at the church, and then we rode the trolley over and walked a couple blocks to First Ward Park. It was a beautiful day. There were a large group of us together. I was able to easily find Wes, and then Wes and I walked with the Indivisible Charlotte group at kind of the end of the march. It was wonderful. It was peaceful. It was positive. It was, it was really comforting to be with a group of people who, very different, all kinds of differences, diverse, very diverse group, walking together, for democracy's sake, and just to have the ability to protest some of the things that are happening with our leadership in our country, to stand with those who are being marginalized, those that are being affected by Medicare cutbacks and Medicaid cutbacks and housing differences and federal jobs. So anyway, it was really important for us to be there together, and I'm glad I went, and I will be glad to participate again. But I do think it's important to feel safe when you're doing those things. And not everybody was even able to. We had a lot of our elderly friends who weren't going to go out and do that walk, but they found corners to sit on and groups to sit with and other ways. And so it was just really nice to see so many people who feel passionately about supporting and serving people here in our country who are being persecuted.
I also was able to help with the Zoom webinar, which happened the evening before on Friday, October 17th. Anne Applebaum is an internationally renowned author and a columnist for The Atlantic. and she gave a book talk about her latest book, which is called Autocracy Inc., or Autocracy Incorporated. And it was kind of wild because she actually, she thought it was traffic issues due to road closures because of the protest marches that were happening the next day. But she ended up doing the whole webinar off of her smartphone from the Uber that she was riding in. But it turned out great, and I was really behind the scenes facilitating. There was a glitch there was a situation at one point where she had to go on mute, and then we unmuted her. And anyway, but I don't think we had about 50 or 60 people there. On the live stream on the Saturday, we had over 1,000 views, which was exciting. But I guess I need to say this. The reason why I am investing time with Indivisible is that I really believe in the values of representative democracy, of human rights, of religious tolerance, of the values of our Constitution. And unfortunately, numerous things have been done and are continuing to be done by our government in the United States, which violate our Constitution and which violate those values. And so I'm a little younger than Shelley, but I did not grow up in the civil rights era. And so I haven't gone to protests really before. I think this may be the first 2 times I've ever been to a protest. But I feel like many people in our country, myself included, are learning about the importance and value of our voices. But this, as his name is Reed, he's the co-founder of the Lincoln Project, and he was the first speaker that we had during the rally. And he talked about this just being the first step, this being the first step. So I guess maybe that's a question, Shelley, and then we'll go to halftime, and then we can talk about fall break. If we think about going to the rally as a first step or a next step, what do you think your next steps are? Where are you investing some of your time and energy, outside just your professional day job at school? And do you see that as being, why are you doing those things?
As far as supporting people outside of my job, I spend a lot of time supporting teachers and students inside my job. But as far as outside my job, I do feel very passionate about helping those that have a difficult time helping themselves. And so Wes and I continue our ministry, our food ministry, serving meals at the Levine Men's Shelter. And we enjoy being in proximity with those who need to be seen, need to be heard, need to be treated with respect and understanding. I just this past Sunday went ahead and agreed to serve on our church's session, which I have been asked and I haven't been a session elder since Westminster in Lubbock, Texas, but I am an ordained elder in the PCUSA, actually, because that was a time it was still then. So I think that's really important to support our church. We, because of federal cutbacks and federal funding not being available at this time, our 21 units for our Easter's Home, which is affordable housing project that we have just completed, 21 individual units of affordable housing with our
old education building.
Yeah, well, it's in our old education building, but we're also working with a nonprofit called Roof Above in conjunction with that organization. I think it's really important to support the organizations that are doing the work in our community. And so our Levine Men's Shelter is through Roof Above. We'll be working with them with our Easter's Home. I think that's really important. And education. I've been working with the Sunday school teachers and teaching Sunday school and helping develop curriculum. And, I think it's really important to talk to our young people and to educate them. And we don't, at our church, hide our history. We talk about our history. We involve our whole history. We teaching them their Bible skills, because I do think it's important to base our messages in a foundation. And they participate in the crop walk where we feed people in our community. Or there were quite a few children at this No Kings rally. I think it's, as a family, supporting families who want to make a difference in this world and want to build a better world for their children. And I think it's important to educate our children on topics that matter and the truth. so of what has gone on in this country. And so in a way that they can understand, in a way that's developmentally appropriate. But I think it's important to involve our children in the world that they're going to be walking into. And then as well as supporting my friends. You know, I have a lot of elderly friends, and spending time with them and talking with them. And I think it's really important to support. I was amazed at how many elderly people, older than I am, were at the rally and who had been marching for years. And I think having them lead the way, they've been through this before, and our democracy is worth fighting for. So.
Well, I'm looking forward to not only continuing with Indivisible Charlotte, I have helped them now. We've just set up a Substack and a podcast, and it looks like we're going to have another podcast interview with another author coming up this next week. And they have a research committee. I'm officially on the social media team, but I am also kind of a liaison to the research team and helping out with the webinars and then the podcasts. But something else that I've been doing is helping out with Reverend Ben Boswell's Confronting Whiteness course and initiative. And I had mentioned to him how wonderful I thought it would be for him to start a podcast and have folks tell stories about their journey, learning more, as Shelley said, about our hard history, about racism, about being racialized as white, about white supremacy. These are things that, by the way, I'm not talking about in school. These are things that I'm doing outside of the classroom, but it is so important for us, just individually, I think, to recognize the role that race and how we have been racialized affects us. It affects our culture. And so anyway, through the summer and then this fall, I've helped Ben, and he's recorded 6 different podcast interviews. And the first of those actually just went live this last week. And so you can go on Substack, or you can go on Spotify, actually, and or YouTube, okay? It's in all 3 places. And you can search for the words Confronting Whiteness, and actually the first podcast interview was one that Ben did with me. So I have had, a whole bunch of different thoughts about this. As I say at the beginning of that podcast, I mean, there's risk in talking about these issues, but I think it's really important that we are working to try and heal our culture. And I think part of healing our culture means recognizing not only our history, but the society and culture in which we've grown up, the ways that we might have been blind to things and not had our eyes open to things, and how can we care for and love our neighbors, and how can we attempt to really, seek to be culture healers and not culture warriors. I say that. The Heal Our Culture project, but I really want to do that. That's a little bit about No Kings, about the weekend. I'd encourage you to go to the website nokingsclt.com, because that is a special website that Indivisible Charlotte set up for the weekend, and it has links to all 8 of the partner organizations that came together to sponsor and put on this protest and this rally. And again, as Reed, the co-founder of the Lincoln Project, said, this really needs to just be a first step. We all have both rights and responsibilities as citizens, and we've all got work to do. And so I want to encourage everybody to consider what you want to do and what you can do, because we can all play important roles. So we'll go to halftime, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about fall break.
Hey there, North Carolina. Are you ready to experience a funnel cake revolution? It's time to meet Friar's Funnel Cakes, where tradition meets taste and deliciousness is just a bite away.
Created by 2 passionate school teachers, Friar's Funnel Cakes isn't just about satisfying your sweet tooth. It's a story of family, dedication, and a sprinkle of teachers' love in every bite.
Imagine a warm, golden funnel cake dusted with the perfect amount of powdered sugar. And wait for it, you get to drizzle as much or as little chocolate syrup as your heart desires.
Got an event? Want to bring some joy to your gathering? Friar's Funnel Cakes is ready to hit the road and bring our sizzling sweet sensations to you.
Don't just take our word for it. Here's what one of our satisfied customers had to say.
Well,
I thought I'd had a good funnel cake, but, you know, when I had one of them Fry's funnel cakes, it just set a new standard in taste and excellence. It's a game changer for sure.
So, what are you waiting for, Matthews? Head over to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Friars Funnel Cakes, and let's make your next event a deliciously memorable one.
Hey, welcome back, and thank you, Sarah, for that. No, was that the barbecue one? Or the funnel cake one?
Yeah,
Oh, we haven't done funnel cakes, really. We're not really doing that anymore. So, but they sure are good.
We did it once.
We did it
We
once.
did the folk music.
Yes, we did it a few months ago. Anyway, well, here we are. Beautiful fall. Leaves are just starting to turn in our area of North Carolina. I hear they're absolutely gorgeous in the mountains. It's been beautiful, although it has been a little warmer than normal. Today is cool. It's about in the 60s. So we had a cold front come in a couple days ago. So fall break. Well, this year, our fall break, as Wes said earlier, we went two different directions. So I went to Lubbock to visit Sarah.
Oklahoma City.
Okay.
You said Lubbock.
I did say Lubbock. I apologize. I'm getting old, honey. I'm 60. I don't remember these things. I went to Oklahoma City to see Sarah and to help her get moved into a new place. It was fun actually being back in Oklahoma City. It was very familiar. Wes asked me if I really missed it. No, I did. I missed it. It felt familiar, but boy, I was glad. It didn't feel like home anymore. But I was really glad to be there with Sarah and meet her friends at Trader Joe's. She has such a wonderful support system, such great people that she works with and knows. I got to go take a tour at Cassidy with my friend Michelle Freeland, who has a new job there on the same campus, just moved over to a new job, technology support for teachers. And so it was just so great to see Michelle and Amy. We had coffee together. I got to see a lot of previous students that I had. They've grown up so much. I don't think if I hadn't been there with Michelle, I wouldn't have recognized most of them. But it's a beautiful campus. They're doing good work. They've started work on the, I guess they tore down the Woolsey House, and they're building a new student center and dining hall for high school students across the lake. And that was underway. Got to see some of friends that were teachers, some friends of Wes's, and then as well as teachers of Rachel's, and say hi, and was able to tell them what a great job they had done in preparing her for college and how much we appreciated them. And that was really wonderful. Oklahoma City hasn't changed much. It's busy. There's a lot going on. I love the wide streets, however. So different from the streets here that are so narrow, make me very nervous. So that was great. Sarah's doing wonderfully. She continues to work at Trader Joe's. She's I think she's considering the possibility of maybe going into some management. They call them mates there. She's settling in. I think she's really settling in. She's been through some tough things recently and some tough decisions, but she's very confident and knows she's moving in the direction and has made some good choices for herself and her future. But it's really hard. Change is hard. But we are really proud of her. And we support her 100% in whatever choices she decides to make. But it was good being with her during that time and good seeing friends. So, I got to drive by the new house too. They've put in some new landscaping. It looks fabulous.
You're talking about our old house?
Yeah, our old house. So in the old neighborhood. And I was really glad. It looks like a family is there that's really loving and caring of it. And so that made me feel happy. How about you, Wes? How was your time with your dad?
Well, I hadn't planned to go to Kansas. I was planning to just stay at home with our dogs, but the stars really aligned in a good way. And Dad has been needing to move from his cottage where he and mother moved in, I think, 2018. So they moved to Meadowlark Hills in Manhattan, Kansas, prior to COVID. Mom has been gone now. It's been 3 years, I guess, because it was Christmas Eve of 2022. And so anyway, Dad has been still there in what they call independent living, and he's had a golf cart. But they are building a new high-rise apartment complex, and so they are going to tear down Dad's cottage along with his next-door neighbor's cottage. So the benefit of that is that they are moving. They moved Dad to the main building, and at a retirement community like this where there's a waiting list to get in, it can be really a luck of the draw in terms of what's open and available, because either somebody passes away or someone moves, from one area to another, like moving from an apartment with independent living to the assisted living area or the full nursing care. Anyway, the planets, the stars, whatever, things lined up. And, at one point we thought Dad might move this summer, but it ended up happening on Saturday when I was there. They had told us it wouldn't happen until Monday. So I actually ended up needing to take a couple personal days from school, but fortunately I've got a great administration and they were understanding, and I have a few personal days to take. So I ended up spending 5 nights with Dad and got him completely moved over from his cottage, throwing away a few things, getting rid of a few things. My sister Trudy came over on Monday and helped, getting some things settled. Still, a few boxes, and it's wonderful that we did not do this all at once. I'm very thankful that Mom and Dad moved to Meadowlark, on their own when they were still, very active and capable. And really, I did not have to do a whole lot there. We drove a U-Haul up. I think it was Alexander and I maybe, and, got a dining room table and, got several things, but, anyway, that kind of, moving your parents out of the house can take all kinds of different, there's all different forms that takes. And so I'm very thankful that, there was that move, and then they downsized, and then, this is a little bit of a downsizing, but Dad was very fortunate to have a 3-bedroom apartment open up on the top floor, the 5th floor of the main Meadowlark building. And so he literally has like a penthouse suite with lots and lots of room. But, one of the things that I was so thankful for was just being able to spend so much time with him, because proximity is important, and time. And in terms of just learning about sort of what Dad can do and is struggling with, he's lost some weight since Christmas and even since the summer when we spent a couple weeks with him. But, his vision, he has wet macular degeneration. And so he compensates and makes do really well. But, sometimes he'll say some things that let me realize, oh, gosh, Dad's not able to see that or do that or whatever. So I got to meet several times with his care team, with with one of the nurses that cares for him, was able to help come up with a list of additional things. They call it home health, so it's extra paid help, but they help Dad with his insulin shots, and now they're helping him with regular bathing and with just a bunch of stuff. I don't need to go into all the details of it, but some of this is hard. It's difficult to see your parent aging, and ultimately we all have to make choices for our lives in terms of what we eat and how we exercise and how active we are, and just choices. And so I'm just very, very thankful for the situation that Dad is in, the chance that I had to be with him, and for the caring community that surrounds him, because man, there's a lot of things we don't know, but man, we know that community is so important. And, Dad's got his exercise class that he goes to several times a week, his church, Pastor Melanie, who used to be the associate there at First Methodist Church in Manhattan, and she's now the chaplain at Meadowlark and has 2 bursting at the seams services every Sunday. And, one of the biggest things is, and I think we got a report this weekend, he's doing it. Dad's going down to the restaurant for breakfast every day. And he was just kind of, eating some cereal and a banana and just I don't think he was getting enough calories. So anyway, I'm just very, very thankful. We're looking forward to hopefully spending Christmas together, not only with him, but with Trudy's family and with all of our kids and with Grace, and just, being able to be together there. But it was difficult. It was good. But it's part of life, it's part of life. Shelley, what was, I guess it probably brought back some memories for you, and what were you hearing and thinking about as I was experiencing all this with Dad, and we were kind of getting to talk every once in a while?
I think moving our parents is really hard. I think we have both been very fortunate that our parents made a plan and had a place, and were voluntary in this. We didn't have to force any of our parents to downsize. They had a plan that they had investigated, and it was the best plan for them, and they both were living at some wonderful places. And I think the hardest part for me, and I know it was hard for you, is it's just the whole downsizing thing. I know you spent a lot of time going through pictures and things like that, and found some real gems. I mean, just some incredible pictures. One especially of Angie and her first teaching job in 1963, when she was first teaching in Mesquite, Texas. And so I think, it's a process. I think Tom is very appreciative. I know he was very appreciative of that. Working together with Trudy to make those decisions and being present, being helpful and being a part of that, I know that's hard. Siblings don't always agree sometimes. But we have both been very blessed to have siblings who were in this together and making decisions together, and honoring our parents' wishes. So I think it's been for the best. It's always hard. It's always hard downsizing. So especially when we're so far away. But you know what? We're a plane ride away. We can be there pretty quickly. We're 2 days by car, a few hours by airplane. And so nobody has to do this alone. And I think that's really important. And we do have phones, and we can communicate, and we can make plans together. And it's going to be absolutely wonderful to have kids coming from all different directions to be together in Manhattan for Christmas.
I'll just tell a quick story, and then we're probably going long, so we can talk about some other positive fall break memories. Yes, I found amazing gems. So many photo albums. I remember when Dad's sister, Marge Wilder, who's now 97, in the 88 fires in Yellowstone, she and my uncle, Dick Henley, or Dick Wilder, Dick Henley, but it was his, my Uncle Dick, who they have still a beautiful cabin that is in the Sunlight Basin over the Chief Joseph Highway near Cody, Wyoming. But they had a beautiful cabin that they had built, and they lost it in the Yellowstone fire. And I remember these stories that they were able to go there the weekend before, and the fire folks had said, there's a possibility, you might want to take some stuff. And so they got these photo albums out of the cabin. Well, their cabin was completely consumed by a fireball. It was crazy. It was a freak event. But, I just remember being thankful, well, at least they got the photo albums out. Well, same kind of thing. I mean, no fireball, no fire or anything like that. But, Dad's cottage is being destroyed, and and all his stuff's got to move out. And it was an absolute treasure to find these different photo albums. And I did take a few pictures of some of them. But the photo albums, and then one other thing is the deer, I don't know if it's deer or elk antler chandelier. It's the antler chandelier. So Mom and Dad were married in 1968. For their 25th wedding anniversary, they went to the Mystic Lady, which is this craft store outside Cody, Wyoming. It's on the road to Yellowstone Park, and the person there, the proprietor, makes or has made all these different things with antlers, because elk shed their antlers every year. And so this chandelier was a present that they got for themselves. Well, I had actually thought that my sister Trudy really wanted that, because my mom was real big on like, let's all make a list of everything that, Alexander wants the cuckoo clock. And I was pretty sure Trudy wanted the chandelier. Well, actually, it turned out that she doesn't, and they don't really have a place for it. And so we're going to end up bringing that back. I flew, so I couldn't, bring the elk antler chandelier back on the airplane. But I am really excited about that because, when you do move your parents out, there are so many different objects and things that have so much sentimental value. And it's part of identity too. And we're not our things, but we kind of become our things, or we sort of associate who we are and who we have been with our things. It's really it can be real difficult to part with things. So I am thrilled that the antler chandelier will be coming to Charlotte, North Carolina this December. And if you happen to come to our house and break bread with us at our dining room table, the chandelier will be there. So let's wrap up by talking a little bit about some memories of fall breaks gone by that we remember. Shelley, what's one of the fall breaks that you really remember, and what's a story or two from that still persists in your memory even years later?
Well, I know you can talk more about the one in Maine, but I will forever, and our children will forever remember cooking 23 lobsters. I think it was 23, 24. It was a lot. It was a lot of lobster, and having as much lobster as you could possibly eat. I think I probably ate 3 or 4. I mean, by myself. Anyway, it was absolutely wonderful. So.
And how did that happen? Where were we?
I don't know. That's why I was going to let you tell that part. I just remember eating lobster. But the one I do remember is when we went camping. We went camping several times, for fall breaks. But there was one during COVID. Alexander was with us. So did we have Sarah for that one? I kind of think we didn't. I think it was just Rachel, but I don't know. It could have been Sarah. Anyway, I don't remember. I know we had Alexander. We went camping in New Mexico. We rented a trailer, did an RV share. The campground was empty. In fact, it was closed, but somebody had unlocked it. I don't think it was officially unlocked, but somebody had unlocked the pit toilet, which was just joyous because nobody likes, going in the woods or in the trailer. So that was wonderful. But it was a beautiful fall week. And there was some of my favorite pictures of Moose. Moose was still a puppy and was running around, and he got to be off leash because there was basically nobody.
In the water, too.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great time. But we love camping as a family, and that may have been the last time we were camping as a family. So, and that's something that we've been talking about maybe doing this summer, is all meeting someplace and going camping together. Wes and I would really like to get a trailer. I'm just going to speak that out. We've been talking about it. We've kind of been looking at them, not really seriously, but moving in the right direction of getting serious about it. Spending some time in the empty nest, camping, and having, just being able to hook up the trailer and go. We have so many beautiful places within just a couple hours of us. And we still love tent camping, but it is a little bit harder. However, I have this wonderful sleeping pad that we just bought, and I'm really looking forward to that. So it's good. It's really good. So how about you?
So the main trip was with all 3 of the kids, and we were able to actually, I think, fly into Boston and rent a car and drive up to Maine, and we spent time with Bob and Jody Sprankle, and we also stayed with we saw Alice Barr and with Cheryl Oakes, but it was at Cheryl Oakes' house because we stayed with Cheryl in the basement. Yeah, we were in the basement. I didn't remember that. But like, we got a cull of lobsters, which were like not perfectly balanced. So like one claw was bigger than the other, or there was something that wasn't just exactly right. I kind of think it was 13 in a cull. But then we got 3 of them, and they were fresh. They had just been caught that day. And so we had like literally 29 lobsters, and there were the 5 of us, Cheryl and her husband, and then Alice. And so there's like 8 of us and 29 lobsters. In fact, we made a video of it. It's on my YouTube, so I'll include a link in the show notes to that video, which we made with the kids, just like reflecting on that experience. So that was great. And it was also, that's when we got to go hike on the estuary, where the seawater comes in, and walk out on the coast. And I think we went out to the island too. There's an island. We drove north a little bit, and I don't remember what the name of that island is. We rode the ferry out there. It was just wonderful. It was magical. And then another fall break was New York City. Alex wasn't with us then, but we went with both girls, and we ended up getting to see Hamilton, not with the original cast, but it was absolutely wonderful. And then we saw Anastasia. So we saw 2 shows, and I don't know, I think maybe people enjoyed Anastasia even more than Hamilton. I loved Hamilton, though, and I wear my Hamilton Rise Up shirt, because it's a little double entendre there for our current day of we're living in now. So, all right. Well, I think we need to wrap up. So, we don't have Geeks of the Week. What do we do? Don't we do some kind of Curiosity Link or Wonder Link or something?
Wonder Link.
It's been a long time.
We're wandering to Duke campus today.
I know, but it seems like we had it's not like we shared some kind of link or something. Yeah, you can talk about that. I'll share. I shared the NoKings2.com site, which has all the partner organizations related to advocacy groups that are in our Charlotte area, but many of them are national groups, and some may be international too. And this isn't like a wonder link, but I'm involved in some different advocacy, and so I set up a website, westfriar.com/advocacy, where you can link to some newsletters that I'm writing and some places where I'm sharing some articles and some thoughts from time to time. So if you want to connect with me there, you can do that, westfriar.com/advocacy. What about Mile High Campground, Shelley? And did I hear the rumor of a reservation already for next summer?
Yes, we do have that. Anyway, we have enjoyed camping at this Mile High Campground, which is right outside of Cherokee, North Carolina, which is at the beginning of the Blue Ridge Parkway. We went up there in June, right before school started, right after school started. One of our many 3-day weekends. Yeah, wherever. It was great. We love it so much because it's truly at the top, mile high. It looks out, and all of the campsites have this amazing view that looks out over the valley, the Smokies. You can see all the way into Tennessee on a clear day, and we like it also because it's a primitive campground, meaning that it doesn't have electricity hookups, but it does have flush toilets and hot showers. And again, it's primitive, but hey, when you're camping, that makes a big difference to have a flush toilet and a hot shower available. The dogs do well. It's a popular campground. You do have to make reservations way in advance. We were lucky that weekend because somebody had a cancellation. But we've already made ours reservations for the week that school gets out. So, isn't it?
No, it's in July.
Oh, it's in July. Never mind. It's in July. And we're hoping that maybe some of our children can join us. And we would love to have a trailer at that time if all the stars align. But who knows if that's going to happen. But that's what we're hoping and wishing and praying for right now is a trailer.
All right. Well, if you stayed with us, we appreciate it. We'd love if you would share our podcast. You can hopefully find Wes and Shelley Share wherever podcasts are published. This is an audio podcast, but we'll include some links to the show notes. And I have been posting these on Shelley's website, shelleyfriar.com. So you can go to shelleyfriar.com/podcast, and you can find links there as well. So it's been a long time since we've done one of these, so we'll try to say our little slogan at the end. We want to encourage everybody to go outside,
have adventures,
and stay curious. Take care, everybody.
Wes and Shelley Share is a weekly podcast recorded and published on Sundays by Wesley and Shelley Fryer of Matthews, North Carolina. Learn more and find links to connect on social media to Wes and Shelley by visiting shelleyfryer.com/podcast. Content on this podcast is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Only 3.0 license. The Wes and Shelley Share podcast is recorded and published with Anchor and distributed on all major podcast channels, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, and more. Please share our show on social media and tell others about us. Let us know on Facebook or via other means what you like about the show, that you're listening, and if you have any suggestions for future episodes. Stay curious, go outside, and keep exploring.